So I did not make the video yesterday like I wanted to. So the grasses have literally been sitting out. The corn has been sitting out for several hours, a day even. But I wanted to make a short video concerning all the lengths of the corn when I had plucked them. So this was due to the Electroculture garden. First section that we have here is all the short corn. This was placed on the east end of the garden, and that was the side closest to us, the side that did not have the rod in it. Second section is the middle portion. Of course, we have the third section, which would be the largest section, the one that had the Electroculture rod, the antenna closest to it. And then we have one over there in particular, and I will leave that for later. So first, let's get started. And I chose about 3 or 4 specimens. I have a 5th one, but this one doesn't have its root ball attached to it, so I'm not going to count that one. I'm going to just go ahead and start with the smallest one and see what the averages are. Doing this shit is one-handed. It's kind of wild too. Unless it really doesn't like to lock in place as I undo it, so. And so our very first stalk here, starting from the root, moving on up. This one here has a longer root ball, as you can see. Starts from here going down over here versus the other one. And kind of stopped. About 1 inch or 2 shorter, maybe 3 inches shorter, or 4. And there are mosquitoes over here, so I'm gonna try to do this fairly quickly, not to be bothered too much by it. Gosh, this thing doesn't know how to stay straight. Save its life. So as you've seen for the first one, the longest part of it was actually the leaf, not the tassels itself. So I counted the tallest point on the plant from the bottom is point. Now moving on to the second one, the tallest point is actually going to be the tassel and not the leaf. This leaf belongs to that one, this leaf belongs to this one, but that doesn't even, yeah. Almost there, buddy. And I know I'm doing this on grass, which makes it a little bit more difficult to see, but this is the corn tassel, and that's running the length of this. Gotta make sure I line it up though. So looks fairly straight. Probably doesn't help that I'm upside down. Now I want to go ahead and point it out again. Take a look at this one. Compare those roots right there. All corn roots are very shallow for the most part, but that's one. This is the other. Big difference. Same literally spot that I was pulling these out of. They were all pretty grouped close together. Oh, and I forgot to mention this, but very important to mention. These corn stalks that I've selected were the tallest of each bunch. So I did not collect the smallest of the small, the middlest of the middle, and the tallest of the tall. Nor did I do the smallest of each one. I did the biggest of each one. And this is the last one of the shortest. Got our handy dandy, don't want to get this shit together ruler, measuring tape. Ooh, this one's measuring at just about 85 inches altogether. So the tallest of the short is 85 inches. This was, I believe, what, 81 and a half, and on down. Moving on to those, I think I'm gonna just do those ones off camera and then just tell you what the results were. Now this one, the last one that was set apart from the rest of them. What is going on with this particular measurement, this particular corn right here? Well, let me tell you something. That corn right there, that corn stalk, is the one that was closest to the antenna. So out of all the corn in the garden, in that plot, that stalk was the one that is 8 inches away from the stake. That was the closest one there was to it in the tallest range. Of course, I had to pick up the one that was one closest and tallest of the bunch, because there was some that was probably just a tad bit closer, but they were not necessarily as tall. But 8 inches close to the actual stake, and the whopping grand total length of that stalk was 94 inches. Man, that shit was not that tall, bro. I really thought it was gonna be taller than that, but no, it wasn't. It was kind of a disappointment. I know. But in all seriousness, this was a good experiment. This is what was left of it, actually. So out of all of the research garden that you guys came to know, and some of the electroculture garden, all of that has been decimated beautifully. So, oh, and I got a new trellis build thing that I'm doing over there for the tomatoes, because all of it was lopping out of the bed, and some of it still is, but I got to work on getting the rest of these bamboo stakes that you can see in there and putting them inside of the bed to trellis up the rest of the tomatoes so they won't keep on spilling over. But nevertheless, going back to the subject, oh yeah, and the carrots as well, they're pulled out. And look at my peppers, but I'm trying not to get distracted here. But the rest of the garden, as you guys came to know it, all that corn, all that beautiful corn that was along this fence that you could not see at one point in time, has all been pulled out. All of that corn is now been lopped up, and it's just sitting on top of that area where it used to lay or used to grow at. I'm gonna recycle the nutrients right back into the soil, and we're gonna start over next year doing probably just strawberries instead. With all that area that I'm gonna be turning into just strawberries at this point, it's gonna be low maintenance. I get to do more landscaping work for some of my clients and installing more gardens for other people who want to have it. So having strawberries there is low maintenance. It's close to the house, so I don't have to worry about maintaining it as often if it was something like the corn or the watermelon that requires consistent watering, the tomatoes which require consistent watering. I'm going to be doing a few more builds over in this area, just wanting to try some stuff out before I'm moving on to the homestead, that kind of ordeal. But with that being said, this is almost a wrap up to the Electroculture Garden series. This is now week 12, in case I've already didn't say it. This is week 12 of the Electroculture Garden trials, and the only thing left really that was a part of the original original set is the tomatoes. Now, I did already harvest some, and as you can see, some are doing really well. Some are hiding in the mists. And this is the east end, of course, as you can tell from all the sunlighting. But there's a few more that's left to pick. I have several varieties here. I don't think I'm going to be measuring out the lengths of the vines. It's going to be a little bit ridiculous for that. Plus, I have to trace it all to its original spot in the soil in order to do all that. Let's just say, to sum it all up, the west end of the garden received more fruit first, more of its ripened fruit first, as you can tell. The middle sections closely follow suit, and then we had some starting to come over here on this end. Of course, some of it's touching the ground damn near. Others are sprawling on the ground, so I have to get that vined up. The lapse or the time between the west end and the east end receiving ripened fruit was literally like a week's difference before I noticed this end having anything on it. So as far as it ripening faster, I doubt it. I doubt that the electroculture had anything to do with it. Just timing overall from when I planted all the seed. Other than that, you get to decide what the electroculture has done and what it didn't do. If you guys have any more information concerning it, please send that my way, or leave a comment about it so I can do it better next time I do this. Oh, and another thing, I didn't mention it, but when I was pulling out the corn, I ended up finding the original rod. Yep, it is rotten and broken off. So, just as a careful note, if you guys want to start doing electroculture, if you're going to be buying something off of Amazon, which is a great start, and look how bent that thing got out of it. It was just really out of shape. Just from literally corn and beans doing all this to it. But if you're going to be doing any of this electroculture stuff, maybe try to do it yourself. DIY it. If not, go to like Home Depot and get some just copper wire to do it around just random pieces of wood that you find, because I think it's kind of ridiculous to pay money for the wood. Now that I've done it, it's kind of ridiculous to pay money for the wood and the wire when you can just pay for the wire, which is going to last you way longer than the wood. Just replace the wood maybe every other year, or try something completely different. Somebody was talking about doing a grounding rod, such as what you would do for electricity for a house, having just a random stake in the ground, a copper stake. Now that's different. That's it's a little out there. You're pushing it. You're pushing it a little, but who knows? It might do something different. You might electrocute the house. Hope not. Yah forbid. But go ahead and try it anyway. See y'all next time.